Good morning, everyone. My name is Dakota Brazier, and I am Minister MacLeod's Senior Communications Advisor and Press Secretary. Thank you for joining this morning. We are also joined by MPP Will Bouma, MPP Toby Barrett, MPP Mike Harris, and MPP Randy Pettapiece. Following the announcement this morning, we will be taking questions from the media. If you have a question, please put your name and outlet in the chat bar on the side, and I will unmute you to ask your question. Just a reminder, it will be one question, one follow-up. At this point, I'll turn it over to MPP Pettapiece.
Well, good morning, everyone, and good morning, Minister. It's great to have you on this today, and with this important news and welcome news. As everybody's aware, the entertainment industry and service industry has taken a terrible hit during this past year. It's been very difficult in my riding with the Stratford Festival and Drayton theaters, and certainly those connected to it. So I'm very pleased to be on this call today, and I want to thank Minister MacLeod for these wonderful announcements. And now I'll pass it on to my colleague, Will Bouma.
Thanks, Randy. Appreciate that. And again, just to echo that, it's such a great pleasure to be here. And I have to just say hats off to our minister. You know, the fact that she took it upon herself to travel across the province to really get a sense for the cultural impact that so many of these places have in our communities. And so when we make these funding announcements, she knows exactly what she's talking about because she's been there and taken part and enjoyed all of those things. And so, and it's incredible to be part of a province that takes our cultural and historical products so seriously that we're doing everything that we can to support them through this very difficult time of COVID. So great to be here, and thank you, Minister.
Yes, I'll jump in after Will. And,
sorry, Toby, that was my bad.
Very much looking forward to welcome news and down on Lake Erie. For example, we know that Port Dover's Lighthouse Theatre is really an anchor. It's a cornerstone for our tourism industry in that part of the community. And there's so many of these events, these venues that attract very large crowds have been set back by the virus, whether it's our racetracks or our theaters. So big thank you to Minister MacLeod. I was part of the tour as well back when we had some warm weather, and looking forward to this news. And I'd like to pass it over to MPP Harris.
Well, thanks, Toby, and to my fellow colleagues here on the line and Minister MacLeod, thank you so much for everything that you've done over the last year in regards to trying to help our tourism sector and our arts sector. And it's been really tough for a lot of these folks. And I know I had the chance to have you down in Waterloo region in the summer as well. We had a great tour. I think we visited some of the folks in our rural areas and our townships, as well as in the city of Kitchener and Waterloo as well. So really looking forward to the announcement here today, and just wanted to thank you for your continued work and support of this sector. I know that you've got, you always say it's the first hit and the hardest hit when it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic. So everything that you're doing and your ministry and our government to help get these organizations through a really tough time, I know is very welcomed, not only by the organizations themselves, but also, of course, the community. So at this point, obviously, Minister MacLeod, I'd like to turn it over to you, and looking forward to hear some really great news. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Michael, Will, Toby, and Randy. You're wonderful colleagues to have in the legislature, and you're very strong advocates for your constituents and your communities. And over the past summer, we did all have an opportunity to work together and get some funding, much needed funding, out into our tourism, culture, heritage, sport sectors. And today's announcement, I think, is absolutely critical. Over the past 11 months, the sectors that I represent at Queen's Park have been hit first. They were hit hardest, and they will take the longest to recover. In normal times, we represent a suite of sectors that deliver $75 billion into our economy and create hundreds of thousands of jobs, while also reminding us of why we are proud to be Ontarians, and they really create that social and cultural fabric of the province of Ontario. But this pandemic has devastated our cultural institutions and our tourism sector in every single part of Ontario. And that's why we continued to flow over $60 million to the Ontario Arts Council. And that's why today's announcement is very important. We are announcing $25 million to support our core cultural institutions and our artists. $24 million will go to 140 organizations across the province, including $3.8 million to institutions here in southwestern Ontario. Most notably, the Stratford Festival will receive over $1.8 million. And Niagara's Shaw Festival will receive over $999,000 in order to ensure that when it's safe to do so, that they will be able to welcome people within their facilities to encourage future performances. These have been very difficult times, and the organizations that I represent have been shuttered for a great deal of the time over the last 11 months. Some have been able to do outdoor activity in the summer or online and virtual performances. However, it has been very difficult. And so the money that we are investing into these 140 core cultural institutions is absolutely vital to their future operations. We're also investing $1 million into individual artists through the Ontario Arts Council, and the eligibility will be released very shortly. But we feel it's very important to continue to support our dancers, our visual artists, our painters, our writers, everyone who is in this sector that has been shuttered but continuing to create during the pandemic. Again, these are important cultural institutions that remind us of why we love to live and work and play in the province of Ontario. And in order for us to give all of these institutions, as well as our artists, a fighting chance to continue to compete globally post-pandemic, this investment is absolutely critical to those operations. And I do look forward to seeing you all again in person when it's safe to do so. And I do look forward to going to the Stratford Festival and to the Shaw Festival to celebrate their reopening when it's appropriate. With that, I'm happy to take any questions that we may have, and look forward to talking a lot more about these core cultural institutions that provide both joy and jobs in the province of Ontario. Thank you, Dakota.
Thank you very much, everyone. As a reminder, if you do have a question, if you could put your name and outlet in the chat bar on the side, and I will unmute you to ask your question. If you are on the phone line, if you could please press *9, and it'll raise your hand and indicate you have a question as well. Perfect. Yvonne, I'm just going to hit unmute here. If you can hit *6 on your side. Minister, your first question comes from Yvonne at the Grand radio station.
Hi, Yvonne.
Yvonne, you'll have to hit *6 on your end to accept. There you are. Go ahead.
Oh, there we are. I beg your pardon. Okay. I see that some of the money is going to smaller regional theaters as well, as Toby mentioned, the Lighthouse Theatre in Port Dover. And I'm just wondering, does that funding have to be used in any particular way for any of the 140 organizations that you're talking about, or can they use it as they see fit?
Yeah, look, the funding was absolutely critical. Many of them have had different types of experiences. Some have been shuttered. Others have been able to pivot to online. What was absolutely incredibly important for us was to make sure that the Big 10 cultural institutions that include the Shaw and Stratford received funding. But it was also important to me and to our government to ensure that smaller theaters and festivals that are key and core to our communities throughout Ontario were also able to be supported. So we'll be working with them through the Ontario Arts Council to flow this funding and work with them to best address their stability. And they know what their needs are, and we know what we can best support them with. So looking forward to doing that. We're also going to continue with supporting the arts sector with the $60 million fund that the Ontario Arts Council already has.
All right, thank you very much.
Yvonne, do you have a follow-up?
No, that was it. I was just wondering if they would, if there was any particular stipulation as to how this money would be used.
Yeah, there will be criteria that they will work through each of the individual organizations with the Ontario Arts Council. So most of them are just being notified today. I know I had an opportunity yesterday to speak to Anita Gaffney over at the Stratford Festival, and it's going to be really important for them to help support their artists, but also get their doors open. So we'll work with them to make sure that that happens. The other piece on this is we've just announced a $10 million Reconnect fund that many organizations across the province were eligible for festival and event funding that has occurred. And we will be reopening another intake of that, a $20 million fund toward the end of this month that many of these same organizations might be able to access, as well as other organizations across the province for different types of activity.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
Minister, your next question comes from Vincent at the Expositor. Vincent, I have unmuted you. You should be able to accept on your end and ask your question.
Oh, okay. I guess you can hear me now. I'm curious about how this money will help Haldimand, Norfolk, and Brantford, Brant County. Which institutions or which organizations will be receiving money from this fund and this announcement?
Well, why don't I take a stab at it first, and then I'll pass it over to Toby and to Will. But we will be supporting the Lighthouse Festival Theatre, which will receive $71,000, and the Outside Looking In will receive $32,280. And the Woodland Cultural Center will receive $60,000 and some change. And so there's some cultural institutions that are absolutely important. Toby and Will may want to expand on those locations, but I can also say we continue to support through the Trillium Foundation, as well as through our heritage sites and our museum funding, other cultural institutions in those two particular ridings. But as of today, these are the three areas. So perhaps Toby, if you'd like to expand on the Lighthouse, and then Will the other.
Yeah, thanks for the comment, Vince. And as you know, the very close connection between Port Dover and Brantford, certainly in warm weather. I live on the Cockshut Road, and I know many people from the city and the county support our Lighthouse Theatre, both in attendance and in donations as well. And that's much appreciated. So we're there for people in your area to get out of the city for a while and enjoy what Port Dover has to offer.
Yeah, and if I can follow up on that, Vince, that's a great question. Very pleased. You know, I think Outside Looking In is a dance group that's been going for 13 years, changing the lives of Indigenous youth on the territory, and it's very great to support that, to try to, you know, in their own way, deal with some of the generational trauma that has been experienced over there. And then, of course, the Woodland Cultural Center, we know and love right in Brantford, the former Mohawk Institute, and they continue their transformative work in being able to make that place a place for all of us where we can go and learn and share and be better for it. So I'm very excited by this news. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Just as a reminder, if you do have a question, if you could put your name and outlet in the chat bar on the side, and I will unmute you to ask your question. We'll give it about 30 more seconds. Okay, Minister, I'll turn it back to you for some closing remarks.
Okay, well, look, I know Toby and Will get to talk a little bit about their projects, so maybe I could hand it over to Michael Harris and then to Randy about how these institutions impact their communities.
Gosh, you'd think I'd have this figured out by now, trying to get off the mute function, but yeah, listen, Minister, obviously this is fantastic news for Waterloo Region. The Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra is going to be receiving a little over $300,000. Kitchener-Waterloo Art Gallery just about $130,000, and then the Wilfrid Laurier University Press just shy of $30,000. So these are, pretty important organizations within our community. I've had an opportunity to meet with the folks from the symphony a few times over the last little while, and it's been very challenging for them. They have, like you said, pivoted to some of the online kind of educational pieces and putting some different concerts and things together. But these types of organizations where you're going to have folks kind of congregating together in a group to see a concert, etc. We're probably still looking at a little while till we get back to normal and get back to kind of putting bums in seats, if you will. to be able to take part in these wonderful events. So it's great that we're seeing some support. And of course, what's happening with the university newspaper, with not having people on campus, and it's certainly been tough for them to get their message out and do the good things that they do. So very welcome for Waterloo Region. I know we do have a couple media representatives here from Waterloo Region, so we'll make sure that we send out the particular funding amounts for the folks that are going to be getting some funding through this great portal. So again, thank you, Minister. Really appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you. And Randy, would you like to wrap her up?
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. Well, I think everybody, certainly in Canada and indeed the world, know about the Stratford Festival and how and the great work they've done for so many years. There's actors, performers come from all over the world to work there. A lot of them got their start there. Christopher Plummer, Donald Sutherland, to name a few, Cynthia Dale, have all performed at the Stratford Festival, and they're rebuilding part of the festival, like the Tom Patterson Theater is being a new building being put up there, and everything was going along great, and then wacko, this bug hit, and of course it's just devastated the entertainment industry, as you well know. So I'm very pleased that you've recognized that, and certainly you've helped the festival throughout this pandemic, not just today, but throughout the pandemic. You've been very supportive of the festival. And Stratford Summer Music is something that is something everybody can enjoy, because you can sit on the street where they're playing and listen to them. Over in the lake there in front of the Festival Theater, there's an island over there where they go and play. So anybody can enjoy them. It doesn't cost them any money, and they really do a good job. So I'm so pleased that you put money towards this, the Summer Fest, the Stratford Summer Festival Music, because it's just something that's part of Stratford. And it brings people in from everywhere. It's not just Stratford we're talking about. It's Perth County. It's southwestern Ontario that these things that these two that the festival and summer music brings economic growth throughout the region, not just Stratford. So, anyways, thanks so much, Minister. I'll end it there, and it's great to see you again. And hopefully you'll be in Stratford or Perth County at some point that we can meet live.
Well, thanks very much, all of you, tremendous advocates at Queen's Park, great friends and colleagues. And I'm really proud today to be standing along all of you to announce these important dollars to your communities. And I do look forward, when it's safe to do so, to visit you all again in person when it's safe, and to make sure that we get out to see some of those institutions that we were able to support today. So with that, thank you all very much. We look forward to a continued conversation in supporting our arts and our culture sector in the province of Ontario.
Thank you.